And good evening once again to everyone. Always reminding ourselves that in every yoga class, we want to feel comfortable. We want to feel like we're exploring our body, that we're curious. We never want to be in any pain. So if we ever feel any pain, just make sure to come out of that pose a little bit. So that way, if we feel a little soreness the next day, fantastic. But that way, we're not feeling sore for 2, 3, 4 days later. So right away, we're going to lie down on our back, settle in. Let the heels come together, toes fall open, hands down by the sides of the body, back of the head on the mat. And let's right away, if it feels good in the body, take both your hands palm face down on your low belly, just to help sort of anchor your mind in the room, keep us present. And let's go ahead and start to connect with your breath. If you want to close your eyes, you may. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But just start to take several deep rounds of breath. Noticing how you're breathing today. Is your breathing shallow? Are we breathing these big, deep gulps of breath, like we're drinking almost, like we can't get enough? Or are we someplace maybe sort of in the middle? Just noticing, connecting our attention to our breath. Last week's class, we talked about finding our breath. We talked about a neutral pelvis. We also talked about hand and foot seal. Those are the foundations, just some of the main considerations for how we move our body through space. Today, we're going to draw our attention to the entire back side of the body. So just with your attention, follow down with me. That might mean the back of the head, back of the neck, back of the shoulders, rib cage, back of the arms, elbows, back of the hands, the low back, our glutes, our hamstrings and thighs, our calves, our heels, and the bottoms of our feet. So just take a moment, notice this sort of feeling now that we've brought our attention to the back of our body. It feels maybe a little odd to pay attention to this part. We don't spend a lot of time looking at our back body. It's easy to see the front. We can look down, you can open your eyes right now and see your front body. We see it in the mirror. If we like to bicycle or run or weightlift, we very often tend to focus our work on the front of our body, which can cause some disruptions in equilibrium. So we're just going to spend time breathing into noticing this back of our body. So let's go ahead and start facilitating that. We don't have to move much. You can even keep your eyes closed, but next time you inhale, I want you to squeeze your glutes really tight and then start to squeeze your shoulders. Squeeze your calves, maybe even curl up your toes, curl up your fingers into fists, create tension. And on an exhale, let it all go. Notice how the body just almost lifted up off the floor with that tension. Next time you inhale, squeeze everything on the back body, back, shoulders, arms, fists, glutes, legs, bottoms of the feet. And as you exhale, let it go. Yeah. Let's feel our back body in another way. Reach our hands long on either side of the head for a good morning stretch, a deep, good evening stretch now. And just notice how our body feels. Maybe our glutes, our calves, maybe our heels have even stretched so much that they're not even on the ground anymore. Just paying attention. Take another deep inhale. Grow your body long in opposite directions. And on an exhale, let's make a C shape with the body. Take hands and feet both over to the right, crescent moon. Hands reach over to the right, feet reach over to the right, shoulders still down on the mat, hips still down on the mat. Feel the side body opening on the left side rib cage. And if you want to, I invite you to cross your left heel over your right ankle, maybe deepening the side body stretch, feeling the left side of our body open, shoulders on the ground. And we return to center on an inhale, stretching the body long, hands and feet in opposite directions. Exhale, slide the hands and feet over to the left. Crescent moon, C shape with our body, opposite direction. Long right side of the body. Heck, even the left side of the body is long. We're not compressing it. We're lengthening our hands and feet over to the left. Both hips are square. Both shoulders are square. Invitation to cross the right heel over the left ankle if it feels good. Take another deep, grounding, diaphragmatic breath right here. Take another breath. Notice how when we inhale, our body seems to almost lift off the ground. If you've ever been swimming, just like when we hold our breath, we float on top of water. And when we exhale, we just sink right back into the mat. Let's come back to center on an inhale. Well, arms can come back down to your sides, close to your hips. Find your breath. On an exhale, think about your pelvic floor, that whole strap on the very bottom of the trunk of your body. Think about lifting that whole area towards your brain. Take an exhale, bend the knees into your belly. And now lengthen your heels towards the ceiling, legs up the wall. If our legs don't go straight up, if they need to come out a little bit, totally fine. If we need to bend the knees, also totally fine. What we want is our knees above our hips, and ideally one day, our heels above our knees. Take a moment, gaze at your big toes, keep the back of your neck down. Feel this restorative pose in the body. So good for circulation. So good for our posture. Notice your back flat to the mat. On an exhale, find that pelvic floor, lift it up again. Notice how that starts to take your low back to the ground. See if we can lengthen our heels to the ground, still exhaling. Maybe even just part way, that's okay. Inhale, lift those heels back up to the ceiling, legs up the wall. Start to exhale, lift that pelvic floor first, then start to let those heels lengthen away from the tailbone and inhale to bring them back up. That's the breath flow. Exhale to drop the legs, lift that pelvic floor. Inhale, heels reach high. If our knees are bent, maybe it looks more like lengthening our feet out, hovering them over the ground. Inhaling to come back to bent knees. Let's take one more. Exhaling our heels out long, away from the tailbone. Inhales, back to legs up the wall. Find your posture, take a breath here. Feel your back rest on the ground. Find that position that feels most comfortable. Keep your eyes open, look at your big toes, maybe even whisper to them how cute they're looking today. Our feet that do so much. And on an exhale, let's sink those thighs to our belly, knees towards our throat. Give yourself a big hug over your shins, maybe even tucking the forehead to the kneecaps for just a breath. And on an exhale, let's release those shoulders and back of the head to the mat for wind removing pose. Just for a moment, gently ease those thighs into your belly, lengthen your spine, tuck your chin. Good. Now let's rock and roll up to seated. So hands are going to come to the back of our thighs. We may choose to start to rock and roll up our spine a couple of times to come up to seated. If that is not our jam today, you can always simply roll over to the side, press yourself up. Everyone in seated, hands come out to the mat in front of us. Good. We can either roll straight over our shins or just kick our legs out to the side. Find tabletop position. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. top of the feet pressed down. We want our hips directly over our kneecaps and our hands more or less directly underneath our shoulders. If we're a little stronger or broader in the shoulders, it's okay to play around with the stance here. But generally speaking, that's where we want to be, so we can spread all 10 fingers as wide as possible, gripping down with the fingertips as well as the heel of the palm. As you inhale, already go ahead and lengthen the spine. Find a long spine, long neck. And as you exhale, find cat pose. Go ahead and think about tucking your tail between your legs while you point the top of your head towards the mat. Shoulders reach towards the ceiling. As you inhale, flip the pose. Our tail reaches nice and high, tall towards the ceiling. Top of the head points towards the ceiling. Exhale, find cat. Tummy is taut. We're broad across the shoulders, even broad across the navel. As you inhale, find cow pose. Heart lifts forward while our head and tail lift up to the ceiling. Exhale and inhale your breath pace. Find some cat cows here, several in a row. We do this to not only warm up our body, but to really lubricate the spine. Every single vertebrae has a slightly different shape, a slightly different size. And so we really want to go ahead and get into all these different nooks and crannies, making sure we're nice and warmed up so we don't feel so sore the next day. Maybe we're taking traditional cat-cow here. Maybe we're finding some different types of versions here, going side to side, or maybe even moving a little more front to back, making it more like a dance. But whatever you're doing, keep your attention on your spine, on your back, and just really think about that spine lengthening in opposite directions, top of the head to the tip of the tail. Really sort of getting nice and lubricated. And give your spine, this might be a new sort of sensation, give your spine a little love, a little mental energy, being thankful for so many things it does. It literally brings our whole body together, communicating everything we need. Awesome. We'll stop being a little heady there for a moment. Let's take an inhale, find neutral spine, tabletop position. We're going to come to sunbird. So find Hasta Bandha, hand grip. Lengthen your right leg out behind you. Maybe stay here, maybe lift the right leg so the back of the leg is parallel to the ground. Right away, find a neutral pelvis. The face of our pelvic bowl is looking straight down. We don't have our right hip hiked up. We're not leaning super far into that left hip. Take a deep breath here. Either stay right here, work on Hasta Bandha, or perhaps lift that left arm. Challenge your balance. Full sunbird. Take a deep breath. Notice your spine lengthening in opposite directions. Exhale, maybe take elbow to knee. Feel your core. Inhale back to sunbird. Being careful of the right wrist, long spine, broad back. Exhale, elbow to knee. Feel your core, belly button engaged. Inhale back to sunbird. Exhale, drop the hand, drop the knee, find tabletop position. Give yourself a moment. And when you're ready, switch sides. Left leg lengthens out. Maybe keep that left big toe down. Maybe lengthen the left leg behind us so the back of the leg's parallel to the floor. Pelvis is facing straight down. Long spine, back of the neck, top of the head is an extension of our spine. Inhale, reach that right arm forward. Again, broaden across the shoulders, pelvis faces down, and on an exhale, let's take elbow to knee. Woo, challenge that balance, feel your core. Inhale, long spine, full sunbird. Exhale once more, elbow to knee. Move with your breath. Inhale, lengthen everything back out. Let the hand and knee meet the floor. Take your big toes together And then let your hips sink back for child's pose. Your knees can be together or nice and wide, whatever feels best. Sink the forehead and tip of the nose to the mat. Hips over heels. And let's connect back with that breath again. Let's be a little more purposeful with our breath this time. So let's breathe together as a class. Let's start by exhaling out everything you have out of your mouth right now. Seal your lips. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Notice your back rib cage expanding, your lungs expanding, even on the back side of the body. Fill your whole torso up with oxygen. Exhale, sigh the breath out of your mouth, evenly, calmly. Notice your whole body sinking back to the mat. Let's do that again. Seal the lips. Inhale through the nose. Low rib cage expands. Entire rib cage expands, back body rising. Exhale out the lips, let it go. Sinking your body back down to the mat. Let's put some weight into our hands. Let's press ourselves back up to a tabletop. Excellent. We're going to come to forward fold. So we are going to press into our hands. You have two options here. You can either work on right from tabletop, stepping one foot forward and then tucking the toes to step that other foot to meet it. Or we can come through downward dog. So you have option one. Option two, it means we tuck our toes, press into our hands, and on an exhale, we lengthen our legs and lift our hips high to the ceiling, stretching the back of the legs, back of the neck long. As you inhale, we shift our eyesight towards our thumbs, tuck our belly to our spine. We exhale first, and then start to walk our feet towards our hands, towards the top of our mat. Everyone meet in forward fold, ragdolling over your standing legs. So while we're here, if you have to bend your knees, if our knees or low back feel any sort of weirdness here, go ahead and bend your knees. Just lay your body over your thighs. You'll still get a ton of medicinal benefits here. But whatever we're doing, whether our legs are long and hips are over the heels, or our knees are bent, we want our feet to be parallel from the inside arches. So go ahead and make any adjustments there. That'll keep our low back nice and long. It'll protect our joints. And let's just go ahead and make sure our spine is in the best position possible for this restorative pose. So on your next inhale, let's just lift up halfway. Think about pointing the top of your head at the wall in front of you. And as you exhale, sigh it out. Fold forward again. Get heavy in the feet. Feel the stretch down the back of your legs. Maybe reach for opposite elbows. Now let's find that deep diaphragmatic breath once more. As it feels good, take a deep inhale through the nose. Feel your lungs expand. Relax your face. Exhale out your mouth evenly. Calmly. It should feel good. Let's take another inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, I want you to place your hands on the mat. So bend your knees as much as you need to get your hands there. If that's impossible, we can always just grab for our shins in this next pose. But for this purpose, I want you to identify your peace fingers, your index and middle fingers, your little bunny foo-foo fingers, and I want you to wrap them around your big toes. All right, so we have our peace fingers wrapped around our big toes. Let's take an inhale, halfway lift again. Hips over the heels, long spine. And as you exhale, use your bicep strength to pull your heart closer to your legs, deepening the back of the body stretch. Entire body stretching, bones to skin, bottoms of the feet, back of the legs, entire spine, back of the head. Keep those hips high, whether knees are bent or legs are straight. Hips are high, tail points up. One more breath. Inhale, lift up halfway and release your hands. As you exhale, bend your knees, get your booty nice and low, and inhale, let's come up to standing, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. Should feel really good in the back body, shoulder blades long down the back. Coming to mountain pose, Tadasana, and let's find our mountain. Our feet should still be nice and parallel. Go ahead and take a quick glance down. And then we want to gently sink our weight into the back third of our foot, right where our heel connects to our ankle, connects to our legs. Long foot bones are reaching out in front of us. The pads of our feet are gripping down on the mat. Nice posture, nice balance of the feet. Our legs are nice and long, energized up to a completely neutral pelvis. Tail is relaxed down behind us. And our throat is open. The top of our head feels like it's reaching for the ceiling. Let's take one more deep breath here. Exhale, sigh it out. Good. Inhale, sweep the arms to the ceiling. Look at your thumbs. And as you exhale, let's just bend the elbows down halfway. For half angel, lift the heart. Ooh, should feel good on the shoulders. Let's do it again. Inhale, reach those arms tall. Look towards the thumbs. Exhale, pull the elbows down halfway. Lift your heart. Front of the pelvis gently lifts forward. Very good. Let your hands come down to your side. Moving into eagle pose, balancing portion. I'm coming to the center of my mat so you can see me. Let's bring big toes and heels together this time. Find your mountain pose, press your feet down into the ground, sink your way back into those heels. As you inhale, let's reach these arms out to the side, left and right. Really feel like we're almost expanding from the rib cage to the left and right. Then identify your right hand. Don't mix it up. Swing your right hand underneath the left arm. Cross at the elbows. From here, we can wrap our arms up like ropes until our palms face each other. If that is not happening, we always have the option to reach for opposite shoulders or press the backs of our hands in together. Find your expression of eagle arms. From here, take a deep inhale, press into those heels again. And as you exhale, sit your hips back like you're sitting in a chair. Yes, good. And let's go ahead and shift our weight into our left foot. Maybe cross the right thigh over the left. Full eagle pose. We can always keep our feet down and just focus on the arms. Definite benefits here. Or if we're crossing our legs, think about bringing everything back to the center line of the body. Elbows towards the belly button, kneecaps towards the belly button. Challenge your balance, opening up the major joints of our body. Feel those elbows gently ease away from your heart. Take another breath. Stay for the exhale. Inhale, come all the way back up to standing, arms out to the side. Lift the heart. Find that left hand. Swing it underneath the right. Cross at the elbows, twisting up like ropes. Find your eagle arms, either hugging the shoulders, backs of the hands touching, or reaching around, reaching for opposite palms. Whatever we have, hang on. Ease those elbows away from the heart. Take a seat in the imaginary chair behind you. Good. We can stay here. We can ease those elbows away from our heart. Feel the stretch in our shoulders, or shift the weight into your right foot. Cross that left foot over the right thigh. Full eagle pose. Sinking those hips over the right heel. Keeping your shoulders stacked over your hips. Challenging your balance. Getting low, getting low. Take another deep breath. Stay for the exhale. Inhale, let's come all the way back out. Left foot comes to meet the right. Arms reach out to the side. Lift the heart. Exhale, hands relax down. Find your mountain pose. Take a deep breath. Notice, how do you feel? Is your heart pounding? Are we warm? Are we bored? Just take note. Your experience. I'm going to take a step to the front of my mat. Let's go ahead, inhale, take your hands to heart center. Shift your weight into your right foot and let's step our left foot back behind us about 4 feet or so, the majority length of our mat, setting up for warrior two stance. So left foot will be parallel to the short edge of the mat, right toes continue to point forward, making any adjustments to see your camera as necessary. Right away, we want to look for heel to arch alignment in the feet, and we want to stack our shoulders over the hips. From there, we think about the groin opening. And if we can do that, that is what drives the right knee to bend over the right ankle. Wide front of the hips, right knee bent. Let's take our hands to heart center. Inhale, press into your palms, lift your heart towards your thumbs. As you exhale, lengthen the arms out to opposite directions. Look over your right fingertips. Warrior two stance. Feet are active on the mat. Feet feel like they're gripping the mat below you and almost like they're trying to work back to each other. Find the edge between comfort, where this feels good, and effort, where we're working hard. Not going so far where there's any pain, where we feel like we have to do something dangerous to look like anything, but where we're exercising. Our feet are active, our heart is lifted, but we can stay. Take one more breath. Yeah. Inhale, right fingertips high, peaceful warrior. Left arm can rest on the left leg, stretching the right side rib cage, side bend. Keep that contraction of the feet. Keep the bend in the right knee. Heart is high. And as you exhale, come through warrior two to lateral angle. Right forearm on the right thigh. Left arm drapes over the left ear, trying to make one long line of energy from the left foot, left side rib cage, all the way out the left fingertips, like a lightning rod. Breathe here. So good. Maybe turn your gaze towards the ceiling. Always an option to take a hand to a block. If this is ever a lot on our knees, one more breath. Stay for the exhale, prepare to move. And as you inhale, let's come up to star pose. Reach your whole body out into a long X position. Lift the heart. Heels point towards the butt, toes point out. And as you exhale, let's bend those knees down, sink your hips down, bend the elbows. Goddess pose. Yes, Cindy, I see you. Inhale, star pose, lift the heart. Exhale, find your goddess. Sink your heels, sink your pelvis, sink your tailbone, lift the heart. Inhale back to star, just moving nice and slow with the breath. Exhale, last goddess. If either continue to flow that with your breath or stay here for 2 more breaths. We can keep our hands out to goalposts or take our hands to heart center. 1 more breath. Emma, you look strong. Yes, queen. Inhale, back to star. Point your toes the direction you want to go, back to the front of our mat. Let's sweep our hands behind you. Press off of that left foot, launch forward. Step it up to meet the right. Find mountain pose, just testing our balance. It's okay if it wasn't perfect, let it go. Sink your heels, reach the top of your head towards the ceiling. Take a deep breath. Give yourself a little smile. Take hands to heart center. Shift that weight into that left foot. Start to kick that right foot out behind you. Step it behind you as far as you can, about 4 feet or so. Warrior two, opposite side. Make any adjustments you need to see the camera. Right foot parallel to the back edge of the mat. Left toes point to the front. Shoulders over the hips. And we open across the front of the pelvis, keeping the back nice and long, to bend the left knee over the left ankle. It's okay if it's a little behind the ankle. We just never want it in front. Keep that left thigh nice and open. Inhale, hands to heart center. Press into your palms. Exhale, lengthen your arms to the sides. Arms are engaged, like I put weights in your hands. Feet are active on the mat, like they're gripping the mat, like monkey toes. And that left thigh aims to come parallel to the mat one day. Find your warrior two, maybe looking over your left fingertips. Take a breath. Lift the heart. Inhale, left fingertips high. Peaceful warrior. Right arm can relax down the right side of your body, or maybe even take a half bind. But we're thinking about opening through the left side rib cage. Whole back is active. One more breath. Move on and exhale. Come through warrior two to lateral angle. Left arm to left thigh. Right arm drapes across the right ear. Pressing down through the outer edge of the right foot. Entire right leg is engaged. Right side rib cage reaches up, and we energize out of the right fingertips. Take a breath here. Maybe even reach those left fingertips down to the ground. Maybe take a hand to a block, whatever feels good. Find a breath, find your lateral angle. Stay for the exhale. We move on an inhale, find your star pose. Everything reaching out in a big X. I'm going to flip around. Woo! And as you exhale, find your goddess pose. Let's sink those heels, knees, thighs opening out to the side. Take your hands to the top of your thighs, maybe just a little behind your knees. Keep those shoulders over the hips, heart lifted. We're not leaning forward, booty out behind us. If we had that tail, it'd be pointing straight down, and our shoulders would be right above it. Let's take an inhale. And as we exhale, take your right shoulder forward, left shoulder behind you, and look over the left shoulder. Awesome. Inhale all the way back to center, heart forward. Exhale, do the opposite. Left shoulder forward, look behind you over the right shoulder, feel the twist. Very good. Inhale back to center. Let's come all the way back up to star pose. Point your toes where you want them to go, towards the front of your mat. Start to swing your hands behind you, launch off that back foot, and just challenge your balance, see what happens. Step all the way up to meet the front foot. Find Tadasana. Find your breath. Give yourself a tiny little smile of congratulations. And as we inhale, reach those arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, let's lift up halfway. Heart reaches away from the tailbone. As you exhale, plant your hands on the mat. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Find plank pose. High plank, knees down plank, or even forearm plank. Inhale in your plank, press into your hands, lengthen out of your spine. Exhale, low push-up all the way to the belly. Relax on the belly, hands stay pressing into the mat. Inhale for baby cobra. Top of the feet press into the mat, pelvis presses down. We lengthen out of the low back. That might be enough. This is a great cobra. Maybe we lift the heart. And as you exhale, press into your hands. Either stay in tabletop or tuck your toes and lift your hips for downward facing dog. Completing our sun salutation A, our vinyasa flow. Take a few moments, catch your breath in your tabletop or your down dog. Make sure the low back is nice and long. The back of your neck is nice and long. Take one more deep breath. Keep those hands gripping the mat. As you inhale, look towards your thumbs. Prepare to move. Exhale first, then start to tippy-toe your feet towards your hands, or maybe you even float your feet towards your hands and forward fold. Inhale, we lift up halfway. Heart lifts away from the tailbone, hips over the ankles. Exhale, fold. Oh yeah, deep stretch down the back of the legs, back of the spine. Sink those heels down. And as you inhale, sweep the arms out to the side. Reverse swan dive. Reach the hands high to the ceiling, tail points to the earth. Exhale, hands come through heart center and all the way back down to our sides. Very good. Inhale, sweep those arms out to the side and towards the ceiling, belly in. Exhale, hinge at your hips. Fold forward, heart meets the thighs. Yeah. Inhale, lift up just halfway. Aim for a flat spine. As you exhale, plant your hands on the mat. Step back to your plank. High plank, knees down plank, or forearm plank will do. Find your plank. We're going to hold it here for 3 breaths. So as you inhale, spread those fingers as wide as you can, grip them down. As you exhale, think about pointing that tailbone towards your heels. Oh yeah. Inhale, energize the back of your legs towards the ceiling, center of your shoulders towards the ceiling. As you exhale, pull the crown of your head and your heels in opposite directions. One more inhale. Exhale, come down to forearms if we're not there already. One more inhale. Exhale, heck, let it go. Sink the hips, belly, chest all the way down. Stack the palms, rest the forehead. Relax the top of your feet, back of your calves, back of your thighs, glutes relax. Let your whole chest relax. Back of the neck relaxes, entire face relaxes. Give yourself a deep breath. We're teaching ourselves how to relax against all odds. Sometimes it feels. Take one more breath. So good. All right, mostly keep your body where it is. Let's just remove our hands. Slide your hands directly underneath your shoulders. It's a little farther back than you might think. Thumbs are going to be right in the middle of the breast, and our hands are just starting to touch our body. This sucks our elbows right alongside our rib cage. Elbows point nice and high. All right, let's start to energize our legs. We're gonna press the top of our feet into the mat. So the whole front face of our pelvis, the soft part of our belly, starts to press down. We haven't even really moved off the mat yet. And notice how we're already engaging all these muscles. You can do cobra pose, which is where we're headed, and not even move off your mat. Just if you just start to notice these muscles, that's enough. Our feet are pressing down. The front part of our pelvis, our soft belly is pressing down. Our hands are actually not pressing down. We start to lengthen out of our low back. We're looking at the mat. Back of the neck is long. From there, maybe we start to peel our heart off the mat and start to look forward in front of us. Heart lifts, shoulders go to the left and right, and shoulder blades are long down the back. Anywhere along that continuum, including basically being face down on the mat, is an excellent cobra. We are starting to work the muscles that connect to the vertebrae, short, deep muscles, contracting everything to the spine, everything to the center line. Take another deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. Hands stack back on one another, forehead rests down. Relax your entire back body. Crocodile pose. Take a deep breath. All right, let's move on. Let's find a version of locust pose. We're going to take our hands. So we're going to let our chin be on the mat. Let your hands come out behind you. And if it feels good, find your fingers interlacing into a fist back by your tailbone. All right, we're going to inhale. We're going to lengthen our feet away from us, already starting to press the top of our feet into the ground. And now let's go ahead and start to press our fists in the same direction until we feel our heart start to peel off the mat. This version of locust is really opening deeply through the shoulders, through the chest, through the trapezoid muscles, the side of the neck. So go ahead and maybe we stay right here. Pretty deep heart opener. Maybe we start to engage the back of the legs. We lift those heels, those legs clear off the ground. Long spine, spine reaching in opposite directions. Find your version of locust pose. Take a breath. Exhale, let everything go. Beautiful. Take a deep breath. Let's plant those hands on the mat right under our shoulders. Press ourselves up onto our knees. Take our knees and big toes together. And let's start to walk our hands back to hero's pose, seated kneeling pose. Now, depending on what type of musculature we have, this can be a pretty intense pose, especially if we're bicyclists. If it is too much on your knees to sit this low, you can always try tucking your toes, or heck, just sit on something. All right, and even if that's too much, you can always just stand up right in our knees. Never want to mess with the knees. But in our version, your version, find good posture with a neutral pelvis, a long lifted spine, and let's take our hands palm face down to our low belly, just like earlier in class. And let's find that deep, expansive breath. Let's exhale out everything you have right now. Seal your lips. Take an inhale through your nose. Feel your low back expand, back rib cage expand, back body expanding all the way to the tops of your shoulders. Exhale out of your lips, out of your mouth. Let it go calmly and slowly. Once more, deep inhale. Notice how it moves the back body. Calm, even exhale. Good. Let's open our eyes. We're going to let our hands come to the mat. Kick your legs out to the side to come to seated. If we have blocks or pillows, any props we're using today, including a bolster, now would be a good time to get it close by. If not, don't worry, they're not required. But we're going to lie down. So let's grab the back of our thighs for a little bit of leverage here. Go ahead and start to lift that pelvic floor, tuck that belly just a little bit so it feels good to roll down one vertebrae at a time. We're just gonna come back to lying all the way on our back, feet pressed down, getting ready for a few variations of bridge pose. So feet will be parallel to one another and generally speaking, underneath the kneecaps. Excellent. So go ahead, maybe we have to slide our heels towards our glutes. Just feel into the mat what that feels like. Hands are going to be palm face down right by our hips. Spine is nice and long. Let's go ahead and just feel our first bridge. As you inhale, press into the arches of your feet. Let that lift your hip points high, lifting the tops of your thighs towards the ceiling. And exhale, let's just come all the way back down. Oh yeah. Inhale, let's just lift up about 1 or 2 inches off the mat, barely lifting our hips off the mat. Now from here, imagine a clock face under your bum. And now with the tip of your tailbone, try to touch every single hour on that clock. These sort of horizontal pelvic rolls, really slow, just sort of feeling around these different details in our low back, in our low belly, maybe where the hip connects to the leg. And after you've taken about 2 turns, go ahead and switch directions, feeling out that sort of love handle area. We have a lot of different layers to our abdominals. Just noticing there's a lot going on in there. And after you've done about 2 cycles each side, let those hips sink back down. Yeah. And now, my favorite version of bridge, we have several options. If you have a block, now's the time to get a handle on it. We're going to inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips nice and high. If you do have a block and you would like to place it underneath your sacrum and lay down on it, you're welcome to. If we are not working with props today, keep those hips lifted nice and high. You can either press into your palms to help move the weight out of your feet and
and find a little stabilization, or you can start to knit your shoulder blades together until you can interlace all 10 fingers and press the side of your fist into the ground, starting to increase the back bend. We could even, if it feels good and if we can keep our knees close together, start to walk our feet out sort of away from our tailbone, a longer extended bridge. Everyone find their bridge. And if for whatever reason you have to come out, just lay down, that's opposed to. But we're going to find stillness for several rounds of breath, finding that edge between comfort and effort. No pain, just maybe a little weird, getting our heart above our brain, completely compressing the whole back body, strengthening the back body while we happen to be opening the front side of the body, working the back of the thighs, our glutes, the shoulders. Let's take one more deep breath. Press into those feet a little more. And as you exhale, very slowly sink your hips down, maybe even rock your hips side to side a little bit, finding any mobility we can. We don't want any rigidity, only mobility. Go ahead and maybe let your feet come wide. You can take windshield wipers, knees go to the right, left, back and forth to release the low back. And finally, when your back feels good, let's lengthen the legs out, both of them next to each other, long on the mat, fully laying down, supine on our back. Take one deep breath here. On an exhale, find your pelvic floor, lift that towards your brain. Let's take that right knee into the belly. Let's find half wind removing pose. Take your hands, interlace your fingers, webbing to webbing grip, all 10 fingers together. And let's go ahead and use that fist over the right shin. Now we don't want to compress the rib cage, so take that right kneecap and aim it towards your right armpit while you tuck your chin to your chest, gently compressing the ascending colon, creating a tourniquet effect on the right side front groin, while we stretch out the left side groin, even giving our right love handle a bit of a massage. Take one more breath. All right, exhale, release the arms out to the side, maybe in a T, maybe letting your arms stay in goalpost if that feels better in your shoulders. Inhale. And as you exhale, let's drape that right leg over the front of the body to the left. Hip stretcher. Oh, right. Keep that right shoulder down on the mat. Feel that right hip stretch up to the ceiling, stretching out the outside of the right hip, the side of the low back, and we can make it into a twist if you choose to turn and look over your right shoulder. Take a deep breath here. Twists are so good for the body, so good for general movement, for allowing us to play, to garden, to do sports, to do whatever it is we like to do. And stretching out our hips are really good because we hold a lot of adipose tissue in the hip area, along with a lot of other tissues that holds a lot of chemicals. So we want to give it time to stretch out, time to release, to move these things up and out of the body. Really feel your chest broad on the mat. Take one more deep breath here. And on an inhale, let's come back to center. Right knee hugs in. As you exhale, lift that pelvic floor, then switch the legs. Feel your core. Yes. Left knee in, right leg long. Let's interlace all 10 fingers together, webbing to webbing grip. Take a look at your thumbs. Switch your grip. Now we're also messing with the different hemispheres of our brain, finding the opposite grip that we normally like. Go ahead and take those hands over the left shin, guiding the left kneecap. in towards the left armpit. Like our left leg might just lay down on the mat right next to our rib cage one day, and using the arm strength to very gently ease that knee towards the armpit, creating this tourniquet effect in the left side hip, stretching out the right groin, massaging the descending colon, tuck that chin to the chest, keep the spine nice and long, and then go ahead and release the arms out to the side. Maybe arms come to goalposts if that feels better, and the shoulders, your choice. And let's relax that left knee over the front of the body and over to the right. Hip stretcher. Keep that left shoulder down, and let's take it to a spine twist. Gently gaze over your left shoulder. Use your eyesight as part of the pose. Actually look at what's in front of your eyes. See it, notice it. It helps us stay present. It's funny how we can look at something and not even see it. When we're present, we see what's right in front of our face. Take several more breaths here. Look at what your eyes are resting on. Stay present. We come back to center on an inhale. Oh yeah. Let's keep that left knee where it is. On an exhale, tuck that pelvic floor. Let's sink that right knee into our belly, both knees into our belly for wind removing pose. Let's go ahead and reach for the tops of our shins, maybe interlacing the fingers if it feels good. But we want to keep the back of our head down, shoulders down. It's easy to curl up. We want to lengthen our whole back body onto the mat. And if we can squeeze our thighs in a little bit, that's going to give us a lot of really good medicinal benefits. But what I want us to focus on is the very back of your head, just really sinking into the mat, really resting on the mat. And from there, I want you to tuck your chin so that you're almost reaching the back of your neck to the mat. And we notice our shoulder blades, shoulders are square. They're not lifting up, they're not hunched up to our shoulders. They are square on the mat. And our spine is lengthening down towards our tailbone, like we're almost unfurling our tailbone like a red carpet. One day, entire spine might be flat on the mat, improving our skeletal system, creating space between the vertebrae, creating quite a tourniquet effect on the front side of the pelvis. Let's take one more breath here. Good. Stay for an inhale. Give yourself another hug. Exhale, slowly release your legs. Sink your feet to the mat. Let's find Shavasana. You're always welcome to find traditional Shavasana. We did a lot to our hips and our back, so if it feels better to keep your feet on the mat and your knees bent, go ahead. You also have the option of taking bottoms of the feet together for bound angle, opening up through the pelvis. Lots of ways to lay on our back, but the important thing is to find what feels comfy and just really good in your body tonight. So go ahead and settle in, lie back down, and however we're lying, let's take our hands, palm face down to our low belly, touching our thumbs together, our index fingers together in a bit of a triangle diamond shape. Let's start to breathe into our hands, centering our bodies on the mat once again, finding our breath. And we want to honor the practice we did tonight. We want to acknowledge everything we did. So we're going to enter a bit of a yoga nidra, which means yogi sleep. We'll take our bodies into a restorative state while keeping our mind present, good for healing both the body and mind. So let's facilitate that. Let's figure out what that means. I'd like you to draw your awareness to the back of your head. If it feels good to close your eyes, you may do so. If you stay present better with eyes open, you may do so. But just notice the back of your head and how it's pressing down on the mat. Without even trying, gravity is just sinking it down into the mat below you. And then I want you to notice how the mat is pressing back on your head. The floor is lifting you up, it's holding you, supporting you, magnetizing your atoms off the floor so we don't just sink right through. And I want you to focus on this spot and get so detailed, so minute that you almost can no longer tell where the back of your head ends and your mat begins. Mentally fusing these two together, noticing how to do this, we have to completely relax our head. Good. And with the same melting, fusing, relaxing energy and awareness, go ahead and notice the back of your neck, where all our vertebrae connect to our brain. These are where the tiniest vertebrae are. And all these vertebrae have these short, deep muscles attached. See if you can ask these muscles to relax. And notice that if we can relax the back of our neck, we can relax the very top and sides of our shoulders, our trapezius muscles, letting those shoulders be heavy on the mat. Now slide that awareness down into the area of the scapula, the shoulder blades, the deltoids, the really strong area of our body that helps us push, pull, write, type, drive, pick up cats, children, whatever. And just notice this part of the body relaxing. Ask it to let go. We don't need it to be strong right now. Notice the backs of your arms. Maybe they're sinking into the mat. And just feel like the muscles in your arms are melting away from the bone. They're that relaxed. Now let's take that relaxing awareness down the back of our rib cage into our low back, this hollow part of our torso, about 2/3 of the way down, full of muscle and organ. And just notice this area. Notice it be nice and open, nice and strong. Take a deep breath. Feel like you're directing the exhale into your low back. Yeah. And as we keep breathing, let's start to notice our sacrum, the part where our low back and the top of our glutes meet. Notice our glutes on the mat, nice and heavy, strong, interweaving muscles, all completely relaxed, open, not engaged. Back of the thighs, relaxed on the mat. Let's notice the back of our knees, back of our calves, melting away from the bones. Notice the back of your ankles, your heels, and the bottoms of our feet. All the muscles connected to all the tiny bones, completely relaxing, building muscle memory in our body. And now let's take that energy back up. Notice the bottoms of your toes, the bottoms of your feet, both heels, both ankles, back of the calves, back of the knees, hamstrings, thighs, glutes, low back, back rib cage, back of the shoulders, back of the upper arms, elbows, top of the forearms, back of the hands and fingers, tops of our shoulders, back of the neck, back of the head, entire back body relaxed on the mat, entire back body melted into the mat, entire body safe on your mat. All right, let's start to come back online. Slowly start to bring some movement into your fingertips and your toes. Maybe start to make some figure eights with your wrists and ankles. You can stretch our body out long for a good morning stretch if that feels nice. And when you feel ready, in your time, go ahead and roll over into a fetal position onto the side of your body. Give yourself a moment to let mind and body reconnect. Come back to the room that we're inhabiting. Let's press ourselves up to seated. Ooh, yeah. Find yourself seated in the center of your mat. And very slowly, very relaxed, very comfortably, find your best, most comfy seat. We can take our hands to our lap, to our thighs, to prayer, whatever feels good to you. Sit up nice and tall. Let's take one deep breath together and seal class together with one long exhale. Namaste, everyone.